Yeah, so hello guys. I hope you're all well and having a great week. So tonight, Middlesex University, product design engineering and design engineering, including
Iceman was the hero of the fans. Ortiz, through his own design.
So guys, feel free to mute yourselves as you come in, guys. So today, Middlesex University, product design engineering and design engineering, which includes the suite of mechatronics, robotics, and electronic programs. We're really excited to host our fifth talk in the 2021-2022 guest lecture series. So this series runs weekly throughout the academic year on Thursday evenings. We bring together a mix of vibrant speakers from across the full spectrum of design and engineering. So a mix of leading practitioners, opinion leaders, radical thinkers, and emerging talents to inspire and support the professional development of all our participants. Tonight, we're really excited to host Camila de Rosa. She's joining us from Amazon UK Hemel Hempstead. She's a level 3 RME mechatronics technician apprentice. And Camila has a really fascinating story and background. She used to be an occupational health and safety nurse until she discovered engineering. Originally from Brazil, Camila undertook production engineering for 1.5 years whilst at university in Brazil, and then decided to come and live in the UK. When she came to the UK, like all the qualifications and certificates she'd achieved in Brazil, they weren't valid in the UK. So what happened there is that she had to start from the beginning. She had to resit maths and English GCSEs again and the examinations. And at this time, like, it's a really interesting story and a fascinating story of resilience and that kind of courage as well. So Camila was 33 years old. She then commenced a BTEC level 3 in engineering at college. And in her final year, she applied for like 50 jobs, job and apprenticeship roles. And fortunately, she landed the role at Amazon. Camila says that's the only one who offered her a place on the RME Mechatronics Technician Apprenticeship Scheme. Today, Camila's at Amazon UK. She's learning and practicing about automation systems, mechanical, electrical, and electronics of different types of conveyance, motors, and sorters. Camila also really likes to inspire women into engineering, regardless of their age. In her spare time, she also enjoys going outdoors, like for running, hiking, climbing, surfing, and we'll see interesting video at the end of her presentation as well. And so Camila's also WES, a Women Engineering Society Vice Chair. And on that note, today we're also really excited to have Elizabeth, the chair of the apprenticeship board, and also Tasha, the social media leader of the apprenticeship board, joining us. And they'll talk more about the Women Engineering Society after Camila's presentation. Towards the midpoint of the talk, we also have Laura Juan Arroyo. She's a manager of the Amazon recruitment team from the internship program. She'll also join us, and she'll discuss more about recruitment and take the internship recruitment specific questions at the end as well. So as usual, guys, feel free to gather your thoughts, your questions, your comments in the chat throughout the talk. And at the end, we'll have Q&A, and there's also the option to go live and interact with all of our guests today. And without any further ado, over to Camila de Rosa with a talk titled Mechatronics Industry Experiences. Camila, it's all yours.
Hello, everybody. That is a very nice presentation. Thank you so much, Ahmed. My name is Camila, like Ahmed said. I'm from Brazil, and yeah, it's been around 11 years to 12 years I'm living in UK. And yeah, so I'm going to share, I hope everybody's seeing my screen nicely. So I'm going to share some of the things I'm getting exposure into industry, the mechatronics industry within Amazon. And this is the background Ahmed just presented to us. And this is Mechatronics Industries. So you can find in the industry different types of warehouses, which is retail, delivery, manufacturing, robotics, automation. They're all different types of conveyors, different types of system. Their layout is also different because of the manufacturing, also of the industry they are doing in that warehouse. So you will find different types of all the mechatronics and mechanical, electrical, and electronic system within those industries. This is our main shipping sorter in here in LTN2, which is in Hemel Hempstead warehouse. And then here in this warehouse, we are retail mechatronics warehouse, basically. So we can have like areas where items are stored. Inbound side of the warehouse will receive and register the item into the system. Then the items goes to the store department, to be stored into shelves. That is when the person will scan that location to be able to put that location into the system. When the picking team will receive in their scans the item to be picked, they will go to that location and scan and put that item into boxes, or we call it totes. Once that item is picked is inside the tote, they put the tote on the conveyor, which travels along. If you can see at the right back of this picture is a pick tower, we call it, where is all the items, the major of the items are stored. So from there, the tote or the box will travel along on the conveyor, so to the right department they have to go. Sometimes they have to go straight to the robot, so they can be palletized and then sent to another warehouses, or they travel through the conveyor and sent to the pack lines, where the people who does the pack will be packing every item, and then also they're going to put that package on another conveyor, which travels along a different way. It comes into a machine called SLAM. We call it SLAM because it's a stamp label manifest. SLAM, yeah, stamp label applicator manifest is called. It's called the type of machine which he stamps the label with the customer's name and address, and then from that it will carry on the conveyor through this sorter where you can see from this picture. And then this picture has this blue part is a SICK scanner, which will scan the 2D barcodes on those stamp on that parcel to make sure it diverts to the right shipping area to be delivered to your home or to your company. And then in that system, we cover breakdowns, improvements, we gather data to forecast problems or to forecast like when is going to be our busiest time, so we can plan the best time to do maintenance or to repair if we see something which is not working properly. We also, Amazon is very high into health and safety and risk assessment. We have like a 1 minute risk assessment we have to do for every job, and then before performing the job as well. And then we have to we have to notify all the affected areas and people as well working in those departments. So the next slide is I'm going to show some of the pictures of the problems you can encounter into Mechatronics Industries. You got jammed parcels because they can get stuck. They can, because of the label, stickers or anything like that. And then those kind of blockages can cause overload of the conveyor, the motor. They can really damage the belt or the actual conveyor. Equipment and component failure, as you can see in the middle picture, if the equipment is not assembled after maintenance as it should be on the manufacturer specification, after a while it can damage, it can cause problems like that, failure because of the assembly. And also on the next one, which is an e-stop, people walking around the warehouse with pallets can just, their vision, because of their vision, it can be limited, so they can pass over like a e-stop and brake, and that can affect the whole system because it's a health and safety issue. Also affects the automation system of the PLCs on the conveyors, and is a mechanical problem as well. That has to be changed quite quickly. Is considered as a major for us. Another one is belts can wear out depending on the package, some packages are very heavy, that causing some damage on the belts as well. So that can just snap a little bit as it runs along the conveyor. It can create like huge damage, and then that if the conveyor is the main conveyor of going from the stamp machine to the shipping sorter conveyor, it could affect the whole company, even the external customers, because you have to stop the conveyor until you weld a new belt and then reset the whole system. Polycords, as you can see on the middle picture, they are to keep the rollers running constantly most of the time. So environment like winter and summer could affect the material. It can snap. It could be a manufacturer's problem as well, and then also about a friction, because it is constantly running against a metal roller. It can warm up and create heat, and then that can affect the material liability of that polycord as well. So that is kind of, it is not a major, depends where the conveyor is placed in the industry, in the warehouse, but it has to be replaced. We have some of short period polycord replacement, so we can do instantly, then plan to be able to do with the proper polycord, because you have to disassemble the conveyor to do that. On the motor picture is a motor can break down at any time due to manufacturer failures as well, or because the conveyor is overloaded from any reasons. And then those things can happen to awkward places, like this picture is showing is an incline conveyor where just one person it has a space just for one person to lay down under the conveyor, and then that motor can be quite heavy. So you have to plan well, and then make sure you do your risk assessment and all the safety reasons around people, and then all the department, everything, all the areas could be affected. And also make sure if it is a job like that, you have help from your colleagues, because it can be really heavy. So it's a teamwork job to do. Something else, it can be like a systems crash. So if it has any problem on the system, the PLC on the program, or connection with internet, that can give like huge problems, or maybe small areas you can have problems, instead of like in this picture, the tote is crashing into the guide rail instead of diverting into the conveyor it should. That is a typical system crash. It can be caused because the scanner before the divert conveyor is having some problems. So you make sure you check your basics always first, like checking this if it's aligned, the scanners or the sensors. Then you go into the data and PLCs and programming things. Another thing is this, the picture down the bottom is showing the machine availability. So through our system we use in Amazon, we can gather data and forecast if a machine, a specific machine or area or conveyor is having some issues, some problems, and you can use that to monitor. And then also we have CCTV cameras around the warehouse to visually monitor as well, and then alongside with the data. We also perform like preventative maintenance and planned preventative maintenance, and those can be divided into minor, medium, and major preventative maintenance. So those are some pictures of me performing the job, taking the tension of the motor with the roller, so I could disassemble the conveyor and check the rollers as well, the bearings. Another one on the other side, on my knees, is cleaning the an inject. So is a connection between one conveyor to another, to when it sees a parcel, so it knows when it can inject another parcel between a gap. We also do an Amazon controlled based monitoring, we call CBM. We use thermographic cameras and also ultrasound guns to check the sound and the frequency of the bearing while running, so you can forecast, or you can prevent major breakdowns during peak time. Especially now, we are approaching to Christmas. As much as we can prevent major breakdowns is better for us. Another thing is the fire safety preventative maintenance we do is weekly, and we have to check all the fire safety valves, so they are working properly in case of fire in the warehouse. This is I was doing a major on a conveyor, so I was taking attention of another type of bell. When it's a conveyor with the rollers, we normally use Habisa bell, it's called. It's underneath of the conveyor and then connected to the motor. And on the other side is the divert of that conveyor. So we disassemble it basically almost the whole conveyor, and then we check every component. We check all the bearings on the rollers, polycords. We cleaned all the damaged components. We change for new ones. We also check the new ones because sometimes they can come not in a good condition, because the batch can be have some problems as well in the manufacture. And yeah, that was me. And then I'll have this video I would like to share with you, and it's just a wrap up about all Amazon's warehouse, the mechatronics industry, all the different industries you can go into, like robotics, automation, or just the retail like I am now. I hope you enjoy it. wanted to retrain as an engineer, though starting again in the mid-30s is hard. But I never gave up. Amazon supported me. Now I'm getting hands-on experience. And they're even paying for my new qualification. With my Amazon apprenticeship, I can focus on both learning and making my dreams a reality. I hope everyone liked it, and that is all the exposure I'm having within mechatronics engineer apprenticeship within Amazon. Unfortunately, Elizabeth won't be able to be with us, but Tasha, she's amazing with helping us with the social media at WES apprentice board, and she will share with everybody the job we're doing. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Camila.
No, thank you, Camila. That was a fab presentation. I really enjoyed your video. Let me share my screen.
Perfect.
Can everybody see that? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. So my name's Natasha Duncanson. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a brief background into what I do and where I've come from. So I actually started my apprenticeship straight after A-levels. So I'm actually in an aerospace engineering degree apprenticeship working at BAE Systems. So BAE Systems is a defence and security company, and it predominantly focuses well, I'm in the air side of it, so it's the fighter aircraft, but it also does marine and the sea side of it as well. So I'm actually in F-35 airframe integration. Now, prior to joining F-35 airframe integration, I completed 5 workplace placements. So I worked around the business in different engineering disciplines. So I've done engineering disciplines such as engineering support of the Typhoon aircraft, Tempest design, electronic warfare, so the planning of missions and mission data. And then I moved to wind tunnels, so doing aerodynamic testing, and that F-35. And then I also did materials engineering. So I've kind of got a broad understanding of a range of disciplines. And then I decided to specialise in F-35 airframe integration. So my placement is in the Chief Engineer's office, and I'm an integration engineer. So integration is kind of the network between all different teams. So I kind of bring together everything from the materials to structures to manufacturing. So it's the concept to disposal. So I do a bit of design in my day-to-day. I look at different parts, plan some maintenance. So it's a very broad job. And I kind of like to think of it as I don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge on each aspect. However, I know I have a network strong enough to help me find people to help me. And I guess the main thing is it's a lot of collaborating. F-35 is a US programs aircraft. So it's a lot of collaborating with America and Lockheed Martin specifically. So I do a lot of STEM ambassador work, university and school talks, and promote engineering and do some engineering campaigns to kind of discuss the broad range of disciplines. But I'm here specifically today to talk about the Women Engineering Society, where I am the social media lead. So what is the Women Engineering Society? So it's a charity and a professional network of women engineers, scientists, and technologists. And it's really there to offer support, inspiration, and help you with your professional development. So I'm going to be mostly focusing on the apprentice board. However, there's actually two other boards. So there's the Early Careers Board, which is early careers is like you're working, training or studying in an engineering field, and you kind of class that you're in your early stages of your career. And you might have recently seen some of their campaigns. They do a Wes Lottie tour where this year it was actually sponsored by McLaren, the Formula One team, and it's a little doll that you can take round to show what your engineering discipline is and kind of share experiences. And then there's the WES University Group Board, and this is a WES affiliated board, and it's for university students. So it gives you a good network between people studying for similar degrees and doing a similar route to yourselves. And they've done different campaigns as well, but most recently was the International Women Engineering Day poster competition. Okay, so what is the WES Apprentice Board? Now, this is how I met Camila. So we're 12 female engineering apprentices, and we're a range of engineering disciplines, locations. And I guess what's really good about it is we all do such different things. Like when you compare what I do to what Camila does, it's such a range. However, it gives you the exposure to different areas that you might not have seen before. And we're all doing a range of apprenticeship schemes. I'm on a level 6 apprenticeship scheme, which is a degree scheme. However, there's level 3, 4 and 5 as well. So we formed as part of the Early Careers Board in 2020, and we do a recruitment each year to kind of gain new people, new members. So just some of the aims. Now, we're kind of here to provide information and support for those looking at engineering apprenticeships or currently in an apprenticeship. And it's to bridge the gap from an alternate career. So there's a few members on our board similar to Camila that have come from different industries. And it's to kind of bridge the gap to share our knowledge together and what we've all experienced in our careers. To promote and advertise the variety of engineering disciplines accessible through apprenticeships, and to provide support systems in some form for women starting out in engineering apprenticeships. It gives you good advice having people in a very similar position. Sometimes being in an industry that's very like male dominant, it can be quite daunting at times. So it's been great to have the support systems of other people who are experiencing what you are. And then just some projects that we've been involved in. So we've done an engineering podcast that's available on Spotify, where we talk about experiences, apprenticeships, engineering, and some of the soft skills involved in engineering. The things that you probably don't really think about that's external to your education, but some of the main aspects of engineering are the soft skills behind it, and being able to talk to people, respect people are really important. So we talk about the kind of more quiet things of an apprenticeship and engineering. And we've done apprentice networking sessions and social media campaigns. So the Women Engineers social media, I mean, you all probably know social media is taking over everybody's lives completely. And we've just gained quite a lot of platform across Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn. This is to really share our experience and to try and reach a wider audience. So we've got a Twitter page and an Instagram page, which are probably for people more similar to my age, and people who are more active on social media probably spend a lot more time on Instagram and looking at pictures. So we kind of share some of our tips and what we've been through, some different disciplines on there. And then our LinkedIn is to look at a wider range of people and more professionals currently in engineering or already completing an apprenticeship or studying at university. So social media is so important to gain a platform so people know who you are, what you're doing. And our main aims are to raise awareness for women in engineering, show the depth of engineering disciplines, showcase soft skills required in engineering, and give advice and guidance for people either in the industry or looking at a career in the industry. And recently we've done a lot of campaigns on social media. A big one was National Inclusion Week. We also participated in International Women Engineering Day, mental health awareness. And it's really just about giving people visibility of different things going on in the world and how to get involved. And we've got some future campaigns coming up. So we're doing a factor week about different disciplines, what to expect if you're actually in an engineering career. Some of our biggest challenges, inspirations, industry videos similar to like that of Camila that you've seen, and just days in the life of what it's really like, because no one can truly appreciate what it's like unless you kind of see day in the life videos and things like this. So yeah, that's it from me. Just a broad overview of what we're doing, Wes, a bit about me. But if you have any questions at all about what I do or Wes, please pop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Tasha. Thanks a lot, Tasha. And next up is Laura. Laura from Amazon Recruitment.
Hi team, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect, Laura.
Awesome, thank you. I'm just here to talk you through a interview process. Talk to you about what the steps might be, what we value, how to interview, and just some general tips and tricks for any upcoming interviews that you might be having. This is useful for both Amazon, but also potentially any other interviews. So let me share my screen with you and get going. Alrighty, can you guys see my screen? Okay, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Sorry, guys. Let me try that again. Okay. So when you are going to apply to a job, first of all, Amazon, you will find all jobs posted on our Amazon.jobs website, including every single apprenticeship scheme that we run. This is the perfect time of year to start thinking about it, but we do sort of have spikes in applications and interview processes, usually in the sort of first half of the year. So starting January, February, you'll start to see quite a lot of positions start to get posted, and then interview processes to occur over the coming months. We have quite a lot of variety of locations across all of our sites. So the more open you are to different sites, the sort of more opportunities that you'll have sort of available to you. The average interview process takes approximately 4 weeks from start to end, but you can expect processes to move at your speed as well. So if you want to sort of have further time to prepare for your interviews, there's always more interview slots available a little bit further in the future if you want to give yourselves a little bit more time. Equally, if you want to move quite quickly, you're the kind of person that takes action, that's also sort of great by us. We have a very flexible interview process. Most processes run in the following way. There's an online application, a video interview, and the final panel interview. We like relatively fast processes that are straightforward and assess you on what we call competency-based questioning. Okay, and I'll talk to you about a little bit about that in the future. So first of all, your online application, this is typically your CV, of course. Doesn't have to be War and Peace. We just want to see what you've done, where you're at, what you want to do. So you don't have to write sort of 4 or 5 pages, 2 pages, 1 page is more than sufficient. We just want to make sure that you qualify for the role. That's the initial qualification stage. That's what it's for. Once someone has assessed your application, a recruiter will look through it, make sure that you meet all of the criteria and put you through the process. They will invite you to our video interview. Our video interview is carried out on a system that we call HireView. HireView is a system that lets us interview quite a lot of people in sort of a short period of time. We ask several competency-based questions. So you'll hear this word come up time and time again, competency-based. This type of questioning is quite specific to our hiring process. And the reason that we use it is we don't expect people to come with a whole lot of experience. So competency-based questioning allows you to use examples from any part of your life, from your sort of studies, from any jobs that you've had before, even from any clubs or societies that you're part of and that you run. We love leadership-based examples where you've led a project in a group of people, for example, and any example that gives us some sort of analysis and thoughts and further understanding of the problem that you might be facing or the situation that you're facing and how you've solved it. We also ask some informational questions at this stage, like when can you start? Where could you be based? So just housekeeping type questions, just to make sure that we have all of the relevant details to make the right decisions. And a few questions about your motivation. We have leadership principles at Amazon. These are our values. So these are the things that we use on an everyday basis to try and make our decisions as teams, but also interview people so that we make sure that those people are matching the values of the business. There's 16 of them. We do not expect you to memorize every one of them. We're not going to ask you if you know them, but we just base our questions around these leadership principles. An example of a leadership principle is ownership. We like people who demonstrate ownership over the projects and situations that they find themselves in, and take onus to try and fix them instead of obviously, delegating them to someone else potentially, ignoring that they exist. So we like people that take action, and so ownership is a good example of how you might take action over a situation. Higher view records you. So it's important to note it's not a two-way conversation. The questions pop up on your screen. You have a little bit of time to prepare your answer, and then you can click the start button, and your camera will start recording you, and you will record your answer to said question. You record the whole thing, then you send it off, and a recruiter, potentially the same day, potentially the next day, will go through and review your answers and make their decision based on that. Why is it useful? Because we can interview loads of people in a very short period of time. There's only so many of us and there's a lot of positions and there's a lot of applicants. So in order to move quickly and make sure that we get back to people quickly, we use this software to allow us to go through our interviewing process. Don't find it super daunting. You get some practice questions at the beginning that won't get sent to us. So you can, practice where you are in the room and your lighting and your volume and whatnot, and sort of make sure that you feel comfortable, make sure that you're in a quiet environment, make sure that you've told people that you live, that you're doing a recorded interview so that no one interrupts you. Just make yourself super comfortable. There is a human at the other end that reviews these things. I personally have reviewed a lot of my time, and it's always really fun to see what people come up with in their answers. Take your time, important tip. This is for any interview process, it's not specific to Amazon. When you get asked an interview question, interviews feel like very high pressure situations. A lot of the time that pressure is coming from inside. Interviewers typically want to make you feel comfortable. And I know it's easy for someone sitting on the interviewing side to say, yeah, relax, but do try and put mechanisms in place to make yourself as calm as possible. Take your time when thinking about your answers. Prepare yourself, wherever you're going to go and interview, do some research, think about what the things that you're most proud of, that you want to bring to the interview process, that you want to make sure to mention. If you feel a little bit self-conscious, practice in front of a mirror or with a mate. Get them to ask you a couple of interview questions and see how you feel. In a video interview, definitely pay attention to your background. Make sure it doesn't distract you, more importantly than anything else. We don't really care that much. It doesn't have to be a bookcase. You don't have to buy one of those video bookcases just to make the room look nicer. Absolutely whatever background is fine. Just make sure it's not distracting to you specifically. Businesses like Amazon, we're very informal. We don't need you to show up in a suit and tie. Wear what you feel comfortable with. Other businesses may not be, so research before you take your interviews. Answering in the STAR format is important. This is simply a structure that you can follow for your examples. S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R for result. It's just an easy way to think through your examples so that you don't get lost and your interviewer understands the entirety of the example. Taking notes is fine. Take them in. take notes during, it's totally fine. Just make your interviewer aware that that's what you're doing and that they're going to be absolutely fine. And always be authentic, be yourself. You don't want to change who you are for an interview or a job. It's a big part of your life at the end of the day, so you want to make sure that it fits with you as much as it fits with us. So make sure that you ask the questions that you want to find out more about as well. And then competency-based questions, I mentioned them before. They're structured in a way that they look for specific examples of situations that you faced. An example of that might be talk to me about a time when you faced a problem and how you fixed that problem. So it could be from almost any background and almost any context, so long as you give the interviewer the context, more importantly. Okay. And finally, the STAR methodology, I've already talked you through it, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but you can see the definitions on the screen. So just make sure that you're structuring. Ooh, sorry, my headphones ran out there. That you're structuring your examples in a way that makes sense to your interviewer. Okay. And hence, we've already spoken about some of these, but make sure that you read the job description for the role that you're interviewing for, prepare some questions for your interviewer, make sure that you know where you're going, the business as well, be specific with your examples, don't generalize, but don't be too long and verbose. Some people have a tendency to talk a lot, some people have a tendency to talk too little. So make sure that you're practicing your examples and that you know where you're going with them, and answer the question. Some examples are too good not to tell in an interview, and that's absolutely fine, but make sure that your examples answer the question that they've asked you. Okay.
Amazing, thanks, Laura. So guys, that kind of concludes the talks from Camila, Tasha, and Laura. Feel free to gather your thoughts and your questions and your comments in the chat. As usual, if you wanted to go live and interact with any one of us guests, Camila, Tasha, or Laura, you can always do that as well. You can go live and unmute yourselves. So yeah, any questions, guys, feel free to start populating those in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourselves and ask those as well. We're a little quiet today. Talk with us, you want to go live? Feel free to unmute yourself, talk with us.
Sorry for not turning on the camera, turning off. Like, quick question for Laura. Actually, I have two questions. So the first question, in Amazon or other companies, in many cases, you to do the like psychological test. The reasoning behind it, how the companies determine what first for. And the second question would be, are you looking for some design this year, maybe, in your knowledge? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, you were cutting out a little bit, but I think I caught the majority of your question. So I think the first question was psychological testing. So Amazon doesn't use it. We use numerical testing sometimes, depending on the role. Sometimes we might use some reasoning, verbal reasoning and numerical testing. And that's just nothing to do with personality testing at all, just to understand where your skill level is when it comes to numerical and verbal understanding of different topics. But we wouldn't normally use any sort of behavioral testing. Basically, that's what we use our competency-based questions for, to understand the way that you react to situations, but more in a live sort of capacity in the interviews. So we wouldn't usually use tests for that ourselves. Some businesses do use them though. Typically speaking, it's to assess a suitability and a fit to that company's values. So they will have a set of values and a set of scores that they want to have in certain directions. There's usually quite a lot of dimensions that they're measuring, and they're looking for a trend. So they're not looking for people to score exactly the same in all of those areas. They're just looking for a suitable trend pattern to sort of match to the people already in the business. So hope that answers your first question. Now, your second question, I didn't quite catch the role type. So if you want to put it in the chat box, I will respond directly. But I gather that you were asking about a specific type of position and whether we are looking for people in that field. I just didn't catch.
It would be design graduate.
Design graduates. What kind of design? Exactly.
Industrial or product, basically.
Yeah, so yes. So myself and Camilla, we're coming from an operations world and perspective. So we are more in the sector of pure engineering in the field, leadership positions, managerial positions. However, our consumer and retail part of the business would be looking for people in this field. So definitely still encourage you to look on Amazon.jobs.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And another question for you, Laura, coming from Yusuf. He's asking, what is the third stage of the interview process?
Sure. So the third stage is the one that you'll find is the most similar amongst most companies, same as Amazon, is the final panel interview. This usually takes the form of several interviewers from that business interviewing you either normally on the same day. In our case, it is on the same day. So one interview followed by a break, followed by another interview. Depending on the type and level of position, it goes from 3 interviews up to about 5 interviews, depending on the type and level of position. Some of those people on the panel interview, that is a one-on-one interview. When I say panel, I do not mean multiple people facing one person. I mean one person after another. And usually there's at least 1 or 2 people on that panel who are specialists in that area. They have either been or are in that same role. And there's usually one person who we would consider a customer or an outside perspective to that specific team. And that's just to give another dimension usually. That step of the process is quite common to almost every business that will have a final panel interview in my experience. It's just different in terms of number, length, and schedule. Some people may do it split across a week. Some people may do it all condensed in one morning or one afternoon.
Amazing, thank you. And another question, I guess this one here is more for yourself, Tasha. At BAE Systems, what's the range of jobs that a graduate can go into? A graduate with a design engineering background, Papa's asking.
Yeah, honestly, there's so much scope to enter BAE Systems as a graduate. Now, once you've actually got your degree, and you could apply for practically any of the graduate schemes that has some, either the site is more convenient for you or it sounds like the most interesting role. But once you're inside, you have the opportunity to move around on placements wherever you actually want. So if you have a greater interest in specifically design, and say you're on a technology-based graduate scheme, there are ways to make sure you have design placements through it. So they do actually make sure that they align your interests to what you're going in as. So you won't necessarily go in as a design graduate. I don't think there's actually a scheme that's just a design engineer graduate. However, there are schemes like technology, data, where you will have the opportunity to specialise in design. Once you've got your foot through the door, the opportunities are endless, as silly as that might sound.
Amazing, thank you, Tasha. And I think a couple of questions coming through for Camilla. So Manuel's asking, he understands if you can't answer,
okay,
but could you go over the process of packaging that takes place in the warehouse and the factory? And he's talking more about the storage, the packaging, and the sorting for deliveries.
Yeah, sure, no problem. As the items get into the inbound area in the warehouse, they get put into different, they get like unpacked and then put into the system. So after that, they send up to the picking area where the stow team will pick all these items which are already in the system, and then they can find on their as they scan the barcode, the main barcode for that pallet or that trolley, let's say, they can find all the items in their scan. So they can go and just along the corridors and shelves and then find spaces to store those items. And then after that, they scan the location and scan the item again. So the system, the whole general system will know what the location is for that item, and then they store it there, and then a picking person or the picking department will go and pick that item once somebody has bought that. It put into a tote or a box, or you can call it, and then that tote will go on the conveyor. The conveyor will send it through. If that item has to just be sent back to another warehouse because it's closer to the address that needs to be delivered, or is closer to our area, it diverts into the robot palletizer or into the packing area. So if it goes to the palletizer robot, it goes to different sites. Once the robot palletizes, and then it goes into a lorry. And then if that tote goes into the packing area, it's going to be packed with the suitable size of packaging, and then also be gonna pass into the machine of the stamp machine to be able to get the customer's name and address, and then the 4 2D barcodes where the scanners on the sortation will scan those barcodes and then divert into the right shipping chute. So that one will be into a trolley, which goes into one lorry towards that direction. So it goes into another warehouse where is the delivery warehouse, where in the delivery warehouse they separate all the parcels into minimal postcodes to be delivered and to arrive in time into their houses. Yeah, the customer houses. I hope it helps the way I explained.
Amazing. And another question coming through from Carlos Ariel. He's asking, how long is your apprenticeship at Amazon?
My apprenticeship scheme is a 4 years program. So we do level 2, level 3 theory based in college in Coventry the first year. The second year is a block release year, which we stays in work for like 3 months. And then we go for like a week or 2 in college just to learn specific units we have to do still for level 3 in college. And then the third year where I'm at, and the fourth year will be based full time, basically at work. But because Amazon allowed me to do HNC as well in my third year, so I'm doing still carry on with the block release. So every 4 or 3 months, I'm going up to Coventry for like a week or 2 again to do my units for HNC in mechatronics and electrical.
Amazing, thank you. And I guess a question for Laura. Kai Stopford's asking, does Amazon hold placements or internships for designers, so designers, product designers, industry designers?
Yes, so we hold internships in most engineering fields. Some are less specific. Internships are shorter than apprenticeship schemes. They last between 3 to about 6 months in the UK. They can start any time of the year, and we have internships in both field locations like the fulfillment centres that Camila has showed you, and some in our corporate offices as well.
Amazing. And the question there, I guess, would be, are they advertised at a specific time, or is there like a specific way or pathway in terms of, like applying for those?
Yeah, internships are slightly earlier in the year than apprenticeships. Yes, well, in the academic year, let's say. So we are currently advertising internships. This is our, let's say, peak of internship hiring. It will be open through probably February maximum, but we recommend to apply earlier than later. So if you're interested, now's the time.
Amazing. So yeah, thank you guys. And any final questions, guys? Feel free to post it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourselves and go live. On that note, let's conclude by saying, like, Camila, a really insightful talk on your experience and exposure as a RME mechatronics technician engineer at Amazon. Like, you spoke about the different types of mechatronics in the industry, some problems one might encounter, the maintenance and preventative maintenance as well, including breakdowns and improvement, and a really fantastic video at the end. So details of the talk and Camila were sent to all of your emails ahead of the talk, so definitely feel free to browse and connect. Tasha, social media leader of the West Women Engineering Society Apprenticeship Board, alongside an engineering apprentice at BAE Systems. So thanks for sharing all of the information and detail about the Women Engineering Society and the Apprentice Board, who are WES, the aims, the projects, how the students can find WES on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So guys, definitely feel free to connect there as well. And lastly, Laura, manager of the Amazon recruitment team from the internship program. Thanks for explaining the process, interviews, tips there as well, and how and when to apply for internships and graduate vacancies. It was fantastic to have you all this evening. Thank you all for taking out your time and joining us tonight. And to all of the participants, attendees who have joined tonight, staff, students, alumni, and guests, we really look forward to seeing you guys all next week again. So keep an eye out on your emails for the details of the speaker and links to the talk. And until next time, stay well, stay safe, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.